Okay. Mostly I'll be speaking in English, and if you don't understand some part and you want me to explain something in Hindi, then I can do that as well. Right now, I'm not teaching you anything. I'll just go over the syllabus content and how's the format of the exam, all these things. Okay. So exam P. So is this your first exam for both of you?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Great. So it would be a MCQ. You'll be having 30 questions, and then what else? Mostly subject is about probabilities. So you'll need to have some knowledge about mathematics. Nothing else as a prerequisite. Everything is like very basic in this exam. We asked 30 questions. That is the format of the exam. Have you registered for the exam?
Not yet, sir.
Not yet.
Of course, Puneet, your registrations will be later, and then Anvi, I think your
I'll-
also they are open. I think.
Yeah, right. They're open. So
Yeah.
like I'll be registering right now.
Yeah,
Like
okay.
in some time.
Yes. So yeah, you can do that. An important thing about this exam is, unfortunately, one of our students, I think, she could not sit for an exam in November because she had some problem with the identity card. So they are very strict with how they look at the like when you go to the exam center, they'll verify your ID. So I think it has to have photograph and signature, both these things. So if your ID does not contain both of them, then it's not allowed. Okay, so be careful about that. Very small thing, but because of it, the student could not appear for the exam.
So like the identity proof could be like anything, right? Like the Aadhaar card and all
No,
that.
it won't. No. Aadhaar card doesn't contain your signature, right? It only contains an address and the photograph. So Aadhaar card, yes, it won't suffice. If you have a passport, that's the best. In passport, you also have signature. So driving license is good.
Okay. I have both fully worked in.
Yeah, so that should work. Same for Puneet, you also. If you don't have any such ID card,
I have both.
Okay, great. Then it's not a problem. Okay, so topic wise, majorly, so see, chapter wise, you will have 10 chapters. Okay, chapters you have 10, but topic wise, how they divide it in the syllabus is you have three major topics. One they call general probability. So here you will learn about concepts like set functions and then Venn diagrams. All these things, I think this is what you have in the section 0. So, and then sample space and these kind of details we'll learn in chapter 1. So this entire learning objective that you have here listed. So this is covered via chapter 1 to 3. 1, 2, and 3, this will cover all these different topics. So first topic is covered via 3 chapters. Okay. What are the different topics here? Let's go over them just briefly. So set functions, I think if you have studied mathematics in class 12, you may know these things. Venn diagrams, sample space, events, roughly, I think. Kabhi to suna hoga.
Yes.
Then, what are events, and then what are the basic axioms of probability? So then you come to combination, permutations, all these details, combinations and permutation. This is a very short chapter. I think this is chapter 2 or 3. And then you come to conditional probabilities. What are independent events? What are mutually? So these are all details here. Addition and multiplication rules about probabilities. Then you have conditional probabilities and the famous Bayes theorem. I think this is also somewhere in class 12 if you have mathematics. But if not also, this is a good theorem on conditional probability. It's a very famous theorem. And then lastly, you will have this law of total probability. This will mark the end of chapter 1 to 3. It should not be very long. If you see weightage wise, it's 23 to 30%. So roughly how many questions? 8 to 9 questions out of 30. Okay. Then the second topic, which is the major one, it will roughly contain 14 to 15 questions. 50%. So that's the one with the highest weightage. What are the topics here? So you learn about discrete univariate distributions, then continuous univariate distribution. So one is the discrete version of distributions, as they call it, and then you have something called continuous. So discrete, and then you have continuous. What else? So here you learn concepts about, again, some concepts about probability. Then there's an entire chapter on random variables. Then a chapter on probability density functions, basically the discrete ones, and then cumulative distribution functions. We'll look at all these topics in detail. I'm just giving you an overview of what is this. How do you calculate conditional probabilities for each of these cases? Like when you enter the random variable space, how do you calculate the conditional probabilities? Then there's something called expected value. For example, how do you calculate averages for these random variables? Then topic called moments, mode, median, and then percentiles. Moments is, I think, new for both of you if you have not studied in detail statistics. Then mode, I think you must have heard of this word mode, right? Mode, median, and then percentile also. Variance, standard deviation, coefficient of variation. These are all different metrics that we'll be learning. So these will be learned via chapter 4, 5, 6, and then 5, 6, 7 will also be covering this, and then chapter 10. So in the middle, see, I've skipped chapter 8 and 9 because that is covered in this third topic. So now here, up to point D, that is relatively simpler, and then comes learning objective number E and F. So what is that? That is the first topic that you will learn, which will be very specific to the insurance company and how it works. Very basic. For example, if you have a insurance, okay, let's say not a term insurance, it's a general insurance, or there is something called reinsurance. Let me explain what is reinsurance. Reinsurance is basically an insurance company taking insurance from some other company. So for example, you assume that the claims, they can be anything between, let's say, 0 to 10,000. Okay, this is the range of different claims. So they can range between 0 to 10,000. Now, for an insurance company, claims which are, let's say, greater than 5,000, they are very heavy. Heavy as in very taxing. It's not easy for the insurance company to pay out these claims. So what the insurance company can do is, what did I say? So claims which are over 5,000, these are difficult to pay. For whom? For the insurance company. Now, in order to avoid these payments over 5,000, what the insurance company can do, that company can go back to the reinsurance company. There is something called reinsurance. As the name suggests, that it's an insurance to the insurance company. Hence, it's a reinsurance. One more insurance, like it's a reinsurance. Insurance to the insurance company. So now, via these topics, so calculate the amount that an insurance company pays to a policyholder for a given claim, including, so now deductibles, co-insurance percentage, and benefit limit. So these are all different types of policies that can exist. So where was I? So about reinsurance. So suppose 5,000 was the limit, right? Above 5,000, the claims would be paid by the reinsurer. So anything above 5,000, for example, if you, let's say you have 5 policyholders, and the first policyholder is demanding 4,000, the second one is demanding 6,000, the third policyholder demands, let's say, 8,000, then you have a claim of 9,000 from the fourth one, and the last one demands again, let's say, 3,000. So for these two claims here, 4,000 and 3,000, it's easy for the insurance company to pay. But for these claims, 6,000, 8,000, and 9,000, for these claims, the insurance company will only pay 5,000. And the remaining, what is the remaining? Remaining here is 1,000. Here the remaining is 3,000, and then here the remaining is 4,000. Who will pay these amounts? Reinsurance company. Okay. So this reinsurance company would be paying this 1,000, 3,000, and 4,000 for these respective claims. So any amount which was over 5,000 is paid by the reinsurance company. So these kind of structures or these kind of arrangements, this is also something you'll be learning in chapter 10. So this is the last chapter of this particular subject, and that is the first time that you'll be learning some things which are very specific to the insurance industry. For example, distributions such as Pareto or what else, Weibull. These are different distributions which are only majorly used in the or log normal, majorly used in the insurance industries. Okay, so these will be the topics for chapter 10. Now coming to topic number 3, what is that? Here you enter the multivariate random variables. Multivariate as in, so what is univariate? Univariate is, suppose, let's say it's a function of x. If we only talk about one variable x, then it's a univariate function. So similarly, you have something called univariate random variable. Similarly, when you have multivariate, it basically means more than one variable, some function of, let's say, x and y both. Then you call it a multivariate function. Similarly, you have something called multivariate random variables. So random variables which are function of more than one variable. So that is called a multivariate random variable. Within this, you will have the remaining 2 chapters. What are the remaining 2 chapters? Chapter 8 and chapter 9. What is chapter 8? Chapter 8 is about joint probability distribution. So these all joint probability functions, joint cumulative distribution functions, conditional and marginal probability functions. This is also part of chapter 8. Then you have moments again that we had in the univariate case, if you remember here, the moments. So that will again appear for the multivariate case. Then you have variance, standard deviation, and then marginal probability distributions, covariance, correlation coefficient, all these details. And after E, then you come to this topic F. What is that? That is order statistics. This is the content of chapter 9. This is something different. So generally, if you would have, let's say, studied something called CS1, which is a subject of IFOA, you would not have studied these topics. Order statistics, this is a new topic. We don't study this in IFOA or II for that matter. So this is very specific to SOA syllabus, but it's an interesting topic. What are order statistics? Then you have, what else? Then there are some other properties of random variables that you will be learning, linear combinations of independent random variables. And lastly, you have the main theorem, which you will see, the central limit theorem. Very important. That will end your entire syllabus. So time wise, so right now there are roughly 40 to 50 hours of recorded videos for you. Okay. And we already has it, and then Puneet, you will be soon getting these recorded videos also. So we can start from the beginning, of course. So chapter 1, 2, 3, this can be the starting point. These are very, very easy, just to give you an idea. So very short chapters and very easy. Right, Anvi? How did you find chapter number 1? You already completed that, I think.
Yeah, like the Venn diagram, and it was all about algebra and all of these things. So yeah, it was like the 12th maths we've done. So it was okay. But the probability questions, like the examples were easy, but I would say like the questions were like some of the questions were like tricky and all.
Yeah, tricky questions will be there because now that we have started studying actuarial science, they'll level up a bit. But once you have practiced few of them, then you can tackle similar kind of questions again, I think, right?
Like what will be the level of like how tough is the exam, like if you say?
No, honestly, this is not a very tough exam. I will say so. content wise, what all do you need to do? So see, when you prepare for this exam, first is, let's say, recorded lecture, plus then you will also have a live class, right, on that topic. Let's say you pick topic number 1, then you have a recorded lecture, which I will already ask you to watch before you have the live class. Then you can also have live class on the topics that you don't understand. Let's say we can also solve questions in the live class. So this is one thing that you have to do. Then you have practice questions at the end of each chapter, right? This is something you'll have to do. Practice questions plus all the examples. I'm just writing what is the to do for someone who starts with this paper example. To do for example. So you have recorded lectures from us, then you'll have live classes. Now, second thing, you'll have the practice questions at the end of each of these sectional PDFs. So end of chapter. These are all the practice questions, and then examples in the middle section. Like as you go topic by topic to different topics in a particular chapter, you will see a lot of examples. So that all these examples and all the practice questions, that is something you need to complete. As soon as you complete all these details, then I would say your syllabus is over. That's it. Nothing else. And then syllabus is over, but you have an extra thing that you can practice. What is that? That is the SOA sample PDF. What is that? It's a collection of, let's say, 500 to 600 questions. From past exams. This will take majority of our time. This won't be taking majority of our time. So, for example, today is 18th of Jan. Exam would be roughly 2 months from now. We'll try to first finish all these syllabus, like all these videos and practicing of questions and solving doubts, whatever, in the live classes. And after that, we need to also start with the SOA sample PDF. And I can guarantee that if you complete all these questions nicely, you understand them, you understand the concept that is there in the chapter, and you also do these sample PDF questions at least twice. So, and you understand all these concepts, then like it's 100% pass. There's no ifs and buts about this. So because this exam, SOA, they are very standard with their exam. So it's not like when you sit for the exam, it will be a surprise for you. That's not the case. If you are a well-prepared student, chances are that, yeah, you'll be very, very likely to pass the exam. Already their pass percentages, they are upwards of 50%. So that's already very high. Yeah.
How much time do we have like to solve all of these questions, like 30 questions?
3 hours. That's so time will never be a factor for you. Yeah. So see, at the beginning they mentioned that it's a 3-hour exam, 30 multiple questions. So you'll have 5 choices for each of them. Only one will be correct, yes, and nothing else. And here, as I told you, at the end of this PDF, I'll also share this PDF in the group. So you have one thing is tables. This will be useful. So tables is basically there are some standard distributions for which you may need the probabilities for some of the questions. So for that, they have these tables, which will be available to you during the exam as well. Then the sample questions, which I was talking about. So you have the questions and solutions to all of these questions. So won't be a difficulty. And then you also have a online sample exam. So you can take this exam when you think you are prepared, just as a exam that we take under exam conditions. Exam conditions, like you'll be sitting for it just like you sit for an exam. You'll take 3 hours and just practice and see how much you score. It's not difficult. It's the first paper. It's quite easy. I've taught 2 batches already, and the feedback is that, yeah, it's not very difficult.
Okay.
Okay.
Yes. Okay, so for today, Anything that you want to ask? Anything else?
Like about the registration part, I had some doubts. So like the designated team, I should approach the designated team member or something like that. Like